This is the array filtering challenge. At its core, it is a little bit of lighthearted data manipulation. We are changing and returning a deduplicated and filtered array of items. In this case, the lighthearted portion comes from these different pizza toppings, and we always like to get into a discussion about whether people like pineapple on their pizza. Whether or not you do like that, there are a huge number of ways to accomplish this task. In fact, we don't need HTML and CSS for this. We only need the console, which will appear here. And I will tell you ahead of time that if we get this right, there should only be 15 results. So there's 20 currently in toppings, these two in no good toppings, and the final result should be 15, an array of 15 items that has no duplicates, and we won't see pineapple or hot dog in there. Okay? So we can get right into it. In fact, we are going to console log our function, which we haven't created yet, but we are going to call it dedupe and filter. Okay? Filter array like this. Okay? And we're going to pass it two things. We're going to pass it the list of toppings and the no good toppings. Be sure I spell this right. No good toppings. Just like that. Good. Now, we need our function, so we can go and do that. This is a really long word, so I'm going to cheat here and copy, paste it in, maybe with a space. And because we want this to be general, I'm not going to use toppings. I'm just going to call it list and filter list. Okay? And maybe we don't need that filter list, so we're just going to empty it out. We're going to make it optional. You don't have to do that. It's just a little nice touch. Okay? And we're getting undefined, which is perfect instead of having CodePen blow up every time. So we have this, and we're going to do something here. We are going to start by doing it in what I think is a very complicated way, and we will refine it to a final bit of code that is quite succinct. Okay, so the long way around, in my mind, is to use a loop, right? So we can create our new array just like this. We're going to call it, we aren't going to call it anything. It's going to be an empty array. And then from here, we are going to use that loop. So let I equals 0. And what do we got? I is less than, not greater than. I is less than list.length, just like this. Over here, I always get that wrong, putting commas in. And the last one is I++, right? Because we want to increment it. Inside of here, we want to do something. Now, before that, we can just return new array. And all is right in the world. Please say yes. What did I miss? Return new array. Something. I messed it up. Where is it? Oh, I totally messed it up. Unexpected number 1. Oh, sorry. Apparently I'm being silly. There we go. So we're going to do something in here. The first step would be to test if we can find an item in the new array, we're going to skip it. And if we find that item in the filtered list, we are also going to skip it. So we need an if in here. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. And this if is going to do something. And then if it's true, then we will push that thing into the array. So new array.push will be the thing in question. Okay. In fact, it will be list I. We can just go and do that now. Now these conditions. So we have these two conditions. One for if it's already in the new array, and one for if it's in the filter list. So very, very directly, we're going to go index of. Index of will return a number, a positive number, if it is, or any number if it is found. And if it's not found, then it will return -1 because the first item in the array is 0, okay? So new array dot index of, and that will be list I, just like this. Whoops. Equals -1. And just for good measure, we're going to go pretty much the same exact thing, but now we're going to do the filter list here. Filter list, just like that. And it should return 15, which it does, okay? So what it's saying is, if it doesn't find anything, and if it doesn't find anything in this array, and it doesn't find anything in the filter list, then put it in there and return it, which gives us that nice 15 that I was talking about, and everything is gold. This uses this very complicated looping structure. Not too excited about that, so let's go and make that a little bit better. Copy it down, paste it over here. We can start to clean this up really fast by getting rid of all of this and just going let item in, not in, sorry. The way that I remember is the I in does not mean increment. It's not a countable thing. It's not iterable. That's the word I'm looking for. So we need to use of list. Okay, so item of list, we change this, do this all at once, just like this, and item. And if all that kicks in, it should be 15, which it is. Great. We're making progress. We still have a loop though. Let's keep bringing this down, comment this out, make it again. We can clean it up just a little bit more each time, right? So instead of this loop, let's go with a for each, okay? So in here, I'm going to comment this out for a second and just go list.for each. Again, we're going to use item, and basically everything in here stays the same. Copy, paste it up, just like this, clean it up, which is this one, and we should get 15, okay? So again, making progress. We are slowly reducing the dependency on these loops, okay? We can do better. We can always do better. So right now we have this index of -1. We don't really need that. JavaScript actually gives us includes with an S. We get rid of this part and do the same here. Includes, get rid of this part. And now we should get nothing. Why are we getting nothing? Well, because now we're saying, is it in there? If it's in there and it's in the filter list, then do it. So we need this to be negative and negative, negation, all that good stuff. Just like that, 15, back to 15. We're going to clean this out and keep going, okay? We have this for each, and we are currently creating this array right at the start. Well, what if we could just get rid of this array, right? What if instead we could use a reduce? If you've never used reduce, that's okay. Reduce will accept a bunch of arguments, but the two important ones are this item, and before it we have what's called the accumulator, which is usually done as ACC, okay? So ACC for the accumulator, the current item, that stays the same, and we start with this. Now, in this case, we don't need this line either because it is going to return a brand new array for us, okay? We don't have new array anymore here or here, so we can just go accumulator, and now we should see something work. Where is it? Dun, dun, dun. Accumulator includes. Did I muck that up? Where is it? Totally know what I did. I forgot to return the accumulator. You must always return the accumulator. And now we have that beautiful 15 right back to normal. Okay. So list reduce is pretty cool. It is really the power, and you can do anything with it, especially if you're getting right into functional programming. It is a superpower to know how to use this one. We can keep cleaning up though, because right now we have a lot of different code. And the easier way, instead of generating a brand new list, would just be to return the things that are true, right? We already have this conditional. So what if instead we could just say, hey, if it meets this conditional, then just send it back out. Okay, and we can totally do that using filter. So we go down here, we create a new one, and we are going to do a filter. So change this to filter. It's no longer going to need this. In fact, what we need is to get rid of this, just like that. And we have these conditions in here, okay? So in this case, we need a few other things because we need to be able to test this. And I'll show you how that works by taking this. We might still need it for a second, but we're going to return something that is true as an example, okay? We don't need that either. It says 20 because it's returning everything. So we need a truthy statement in order to return it to the new list that is returned. And we do that by checking. Okay, we check if the list.index of, we can go back to index of item equals index. We don't have index, we can go and pop it on here, index, just like this. And that should return all of them because, of course, it is the same. I did this strangely wrong, right? But it's starting to get close. What we need here is I'm testing against the list when I actually want to be testing against the returned array. And the way that we get that is we have an extra argument on here called array. We can call this whatever we want, but I'm going to call it array. We change this to ARR, array, and now it should reduce down. It does not. What am I missing? I am missing something. What am I missing? This does not belong here. It belongs outside of this. Silly me. Okay? So there we go. Now we have 17, which is good, but we need to remove the 2 duplicate items. So we can go and add an ampersand and go filter list dot includes. We've already done this part. Includes item. Okay. That should bring us to 2 because, again, we're testing to see if it's actually in there and saying, yeah, go ahead. We need to be the opposite of that. And just like that, we are back to 15. Clean this up a little bit. Code is getting nice and clean, okay? We can go further on this, okay? A very popular thing to do is to use set. It seems to be taught a lot recently in at least the interviews that I've done. I'm seeing a lot of set. So instead of doing this, we just return if it is not in here. That's going to uglify my stuff, yeah. But here we can add a new set. So it looks kind of like this. We expand this out and we go new set equal to list. New set equal to list, which returns, so the set returns a deduplicated iterable. It's not an array, it's array-like, okay? And then from there, we turn it back into an array with this spread, which we then pass into filter and check for our filtered list. Now, to finish this up, since we're using set already, why not just use it for everything, right? So something that I was recently reminded of, copy this, go down, okay? We have this again. In this case, we want to capture this. So let's just go do this really fast. Const new set equals new set items, list. And then from there we can go filter list dot for each, right? Filter list dot for each, and there's going to be an item on that. And if that item exists, just go new set dot delete. Delete that item if it exists in the set, okay? And then return it. So again, we're going to use that spread operator and return the new set, which should get us to 15. It is not. I missed something. Let's take a look. Cannot access uninitialized. Oh, right, because there's not a space in there. There we go. So again, back to 15 items, nicely deduplicated and filtered. We can clear that out. So lots of different options for getting this done. Regardless of what you think of pepperoni on pizza, we have all these different options, starting with way up here, we did a full old school loop, and we went through it, checked for index of, and then we changed that to a newer loop structure, which saved us having to maintain an index of something. We cleaned that up with some includes. We went further by using a filter. Oh, this one used a reduce as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. Then we went to a filter. Then we used this set along with this filter to knock it right down to 5 big lines of code. And then because we're already using the set, why not just keep using the set, right? So we set up the set, and then we delete items from it, and we return that new set. Again, lots of different ways to do this, from complex to very, very new. Set is still relatively new in the JavaScript world, but all of them work. All of them get the job done, and it really comes down to what you need. If there's anything else in here that might be needed, you could absolutely pick from any of these options, and they would be solid. Let me know what you think. This has been the filter challenge, array filtering, and I will see you next time.